Christopher Lee was born on May 27, 1922, in Belgravia, London, into a distinguished family. His father, Lieutenant Colonel Geoffrey Trollope Lee, was a decorated officer of the British Army, while his mother, Contessa Estelle Marie Carandini di Sarzano, belonged to an aristocratic Italian lineage. After his parents' divorce, Lee was raised by his mother, who later married banker Harcourt Rose. He attended Wellington College, excelling in classical studies such as Latin and Greek. However, financial difficulties forced him to leave school early. With the outbreak of World War II, Lee volunteered for the Finnish forces in 1939 before enlisting in the Royal Air Force, RAF. His dream of becoming a pilot was cut short due to a medical issue with his optic nerve. Instead, he worked in intelligence with the Special Operations Executive, SOE, undertaking covert missions in North Africa and Europe. He later assisted in hunting down Nazi war criminals after the war. Due to the secretive nature of his work, Lee rarely discussed his military service in detail. After the war, Lee struggled to find his path. Encouraged by a cousin, he pursued acting and enrolled in drama school. His towering height, 6 feet 5 inches, initially made casting difficult, limiting him to background roles. He made his film debut in Corridor of Mirrors, 1948, and had minor roles in Hamlet, 1948, alongside Laurence Olivier. Lee's breakthrough came in 1957 when he was cast as the creature in The Curse of Frankenstein, the first of many collaborations with Hammer Films and fellow actor Peter Cushing. The following year, he starred as Count Dracula in Dracula, 1958, a role that defined his career. Unlike Bela Lugosi's more aristocratic portrayal, Lee's Dracula was an imposing, feral presence, using minimal dialogue and a hypnotic stare to create fear. Over the next 2 decades, he reprised the role in multiple Hammer sequels, including Dracula, Prince of Darkness, 1966, and Scars of Dracula, 1970. However, he became increasingly frustrated with the repetitive nature of the films, as his dialogue was often reduced to hissing and snarling. While horror made him famous, Lee sought variety in his roles. He portrayed Fu Manchu in a series of films, played Sir Henry in The Hound of the Baskervilles, 1959, and took on the role of Mycroft Holmes in The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, 1970. In 1973, he starred in the folk horror classic The Wicker Man, portraying the enigmatic Lord Summerisle. The film, now considered a masterpiece, showcased Lee's ability to play complex antagonists who were not purely evil but ideologically driven. Lee also entered the world of James Bond, playing the villainous Francisco Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974. His refined yet ruthless performance remains one of the most memorable villains in the Bond franchise. Despite his extensive filmography, Lee experienced a major career resurgence in the 2000s with 2 blockbuster franchises. Peter Jackson cast him as Saruman in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, 2001 to 2003, a role he cherished, as he had been a lifelong fan of J.R.R. Tolkien and was the only cast member to have met the author. Lee's portrayal of the corrupted wizard was powerful, bringing both gravitas and menace to the character. Around the same time, George Lucas cast him as Count Dooku in Star Wars Episode II: Attack of the Clones, 2002, and Episode III: Revenge of the Sith, 2005. Though a supporting character, Lee's refined yet deadly Sith Lord became a fan favorite, with his duels against Yoda and Anakin Skywalker standing out as highlights. Beyond acting, Lee had a deep love for music. He possessed a classically trained baritone voice and recorded several albums, including operatic pieces and heavy metal music. His albums Charlemagne, By the Sword and the Cross, 2010, and Charlemagne, The Omens of Death, 2013, made him the oldest heavy metal performer in history. He also collaborated with the symphonic metal band Rhapsody of Fire. Lee was also an accomplished author, writing his autobiography, Tall, Dark, and Gruesome, and books on his experiences in horror cinema. His contributions to the arts were recognized with numerous honors. He was knighted in 2009 for his services to drama and charity. He received the BAFTA Fellowship in 2011 and a BFI Fellowship in 2013. In 1961, Lee married Danish model and painter Birgit Gitte Kranke. Their marriage lasted over 50 years, and they had one daughter, Christina. Despite his on-screen villainy, those who knew him described him as a warm, intelligent, and humorous man with a vast knowledge of history, literature, and music. Even in his final years, Lee remained active in film. He reprised his role as Saruman in The Hobbit trilogy, 2012 to 2014, appearing in An Unexpected Journey and The Battle of the Five Armies. His final film role was in Angels in Notting Hill, 2015. Christopher Lee passed away on June 7, 2015, at the age of 93. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy lives on. With over 250 film appearances, he remains one of the most prolific actors of all time. From Dracula to Saruman, from Bond villains to heavy metal music, Lee was a true Renaissance man, seamlessly transitioning between horror, fantasy, and adventure. His deep, resonant voice, formidable presence, and dedication to his craft made him one of the most respected figures in cinema. Few actors have maintained such longevity and relevance across multiple generations. Whether terrifying audiences as a vampire, leading an army as a dark wizard, or battling Jedi as a Sith Lord, Christopher Lee's impact on popular culture is undeniable. Even beyond his film roles, his life story, from his aristocratic roots to his wartime service and his love for metal music, reads like something out of a novel. Sir Christopher Lee was and remains a legend.